All right. Can you believe it? It is January 3rd. It is 1:30 Eastern Time, 2019, and welcome to Kicktail 2019, the third installment of my annual live on Facebook business planning hour with Leigh, where I will share with y'all some thoughts and facts on things, and you were able to submit what y'all need. Now, I love y'all. I really do love y'all. And I have here so many pages of what y'all need, and frankly, it just makes me want to give some of y'all a hug, because I don't know that you need me as your business planner as much as you need some therapy right now, but I will do my best to give y'all some therapy. Do say hello over in the comments, and y'all should maybe friend up with one another, because the people that follow me tend to be really amazing people, and y'all would probably love each other too, because amazing people match, and then y'all can play some referrals and stuff, and maybe I'll work on that next year. Let me write that down, to work on referrals amongst my people for 2019. And don't judge me, I have to wear these glasses a whole bunch now. I have to tell y'all though, during your commenting over here, if you have a question, go ahead and pipe up. If I see it, I will do my best to answer it. If you see my eyes scattering, I'm watching this screen with questions and comments, and I'm doing my best. But if you need something in particular that I've already answered, my two amazing ladies are going to be trying to help answer during the broadcast so that I don't have to interrupt my flow. So that's Michelle and Liz. So y'all be very nice to Michelle and Liz, because they're amazing. And if y'all mess that up for me, I'm going to hunt you down. So the first thing I have to tell y'all is that one of the comments in here said that they needed to know how they could get me away from my husband. And that was hilarious to me, and I'm sure it was said in jest, but, you know, after being married for 15 years, I can divide by 2, and I love my husband, so we're good. Even though he's a Yankee, we have worked things out. So the first thing I want to ask y'all, as we get into this wonderful hour here, and by the way, tag some friends into this who maybe need a little boost. I'm not going to lie to y'all when I say that some of you need a little bit of love. It worries me. I'm not going to lie. It worries me. Somebody said that they are having trouble bouncing back when they run into a bad client. And somebody else who said they feel like they need some light in their life. So for the next hour, I'm going to try to bring y'all some light with your planning, whether you're a realtor or a lender or a photographer. I've got some amazing small business people on here. Hey, y'all, if you are not a realtor, you are absolutely welcome to leave me your business page or invite me to like it so that I can get to know other entrepreneurs, because it makes us all so much smarter and stronger. Now, I would love to know from you, how was your year? When you look back at 2018, there's 3 options you have if I figure out how to set the poll, and if I don't, then don't judge me for that. But my 3 options would be, was 2018 as you expected? So it was a status quo kind of a year. Or was it better than you expected? Hey, something good happened. You fell in love, or a baby came into your life, or somebody nasty was erased from your life, and you learned how to unfollow unhappy people. And that could make your year better than, and we're not even talking about money. I hope that you've got your bills paid and got a roof over your head, because not everybody does. And so we've learned to be very appreciative of what we have. And then the third option I would offer y'all was that 2018 wasn't quite there. It wasn't quite what you expected. And as I was watching all the posts on New Year's Eve, because yes, I'm not a fun person. I'm not out partying. I might have had an adult beverage at the beach house, and I was asleep before midnight, yes, and my 14-year-old daughter had to come wake me up. I admit it. So I was looking at your post on Facebook, excuse me, and on Instagram, and a lot of y'all were happy to see 2018 go. And I don't know if that's because in general you enjoy the passage of time, or if something didn't go right for you this past year. So what we'll talk about is, what were the culprits? Whether it's something that went really well, you have to identify when something goes really well, because if we don't take advantage of the happy moments, then it's hard to have a little bit of light when you hit dark moments. And if something went wrong in your life, you have to figure out that culprit too, because some things we can fix. Now, we can't fix everything. We're not promised an easy existence. Never were promised that, but we can make things better. So I have a couple of options for what the culprit could have been. Was one of them time management? I'm pretty convinced that for about 143 of you, time management was an issue last year. And if I had to lay some money down, which I can't, being a Presbyterian / Baptist with upbringing, I'm not supposed to gamble. And frankly, I'm too cheap to gamble. But y'all probably had time management problems before 2018 came along. And it's a hard thing to fix. But I've got some ideas for you. We are going to talk ideas for time management. Some of y'all said that the culprit for your 2018 not being perfect was financial, and there were about 60 responses in here that said you needed help with your money. And I love y'all for being strong enough to ask that question, because people don't talk about money at all. We're not teaching our kids how to handle it. And frankly, it's the number one cause of divorce. It's not liking the other person. It's dealing with money. So we're going to talk about money a little bit, not too much. So don't be scared. Don't jump off the broadcast. Just hang with me here, because I know y'all are ADD. It's okay. We've got everybody something today. Some of y'all said that the culprit for your year not being what you wanted was you didn't have good support people around you. So that could be a couple of things going on. Some of you don't hire well. You hire the wrong people. Some of you haven't hired anybody, frankly, because you're control freaks. And I love the person who admitted it right out loud. Thank you for being honest. And some of you don't understand that the support people don't have to be related to your business. It could be the person that you're sleeping with. It could be your kids or grandkids or your best friend, or it could be some random real estate instructor out here on the interwebs, because I think for some of y'all, I am your support, and I'm glad for that job, but you have to recognize that you need other humans in your life. I think if we've learned anything from the social media mess of the last couple of years, it does not replace these real life relationships. That's why I'm telling y'all to make friends over there in the comments, because life is better when you are not all alone. Some of y'all said health was your problem in 2018. Now, I can't promise you a Benny Hinn healing moment. And frankly, I'm suspicious of when he smacked people in the head, even though I probably should have more faith in it. But if your health was in the way, I get it. You can't control it, and health issues can wipe out your bank account, wipe out your energy. And the first thing I'll tell y'all on that is take care of yourselves, and we'll talk about that a little bit, because y'all know I like to preach at you about that. But the second thing is, all entrepreneurs should be carrying short-term disability insurance, something like Aflac or some similar brand. Now, if you're a realtor, you can check out options at nar.realtor in our insurance marketplace, because if you fall off a house off the front porch while you're measuring it and break that leg, well, you're out of work. And frankly, if you're an entrepreneur out of work, you do not have any money coming in. So go ahead and look at short-term disability insurance, people. And then some of y'all said the culprit in your life in 2018 was your own self and all of your excuses. And those excuses could be anything from you didn't have enough time, you didn't know what to do, you got distracted. I mean, you like to tell people you're busy, but y'all fritter away a lot of time that you say was busy. But let's be honest, when you're looking at this device and scrolling around on it, sometimes that is a good, well-spent time, and sometimes that is just you hitting like and not having any meaningfulness in your life. So we'll talk about your excuses a little bit. Now, first thing we've got to start off with, if we're figuring out how to make 2019 great, is look at 2018. I told y'all, when you're looking at what went well, what didn't, what could be better, you got to start with some honesty, okay? So I'll tell y'all, I don't think I made enough phone calls in 2018. Exactly, because I was so busy. Just like y'all, I didn't make enough time to make outbound phone calls, and I started working on that in November so that I could have more sit-down face-to-face meetings with people who mean something in my life, whether they're related to my business or they're related to my soul or they're related to my past, and I wouldn't trade any of those interactions for the world. So what I'll tell you is, if you start with the honesty with yourself that you could have done better, then that's where you get better. All right. Now, y'all have asked about my rule of one, and that is my classic sales belief here. And it's what I do every day now. Started this in the third quarter because I had to get better, right? And I'm not perfect, y'all. I know some of you think I'm perfect, but I hate to bust your bubble and lick all the red off your candy. But well, here we go. So understand this. If you will get this, you listening close. Make one outbound phone call a day. One. Outbound. Not returning a call, not setting up an appointment, not doing something off track. Don't give yourself excuses. I mean, pick up this thing, because if y'all didn't know it, your telephone is not just a swiping device. It makes outbound phone calls. I know that's miraculous. Now, what I want y'all to do is go to your contact thing. Now, if you have an Android, that's very quaint. I don't know how those things work. I got them for my children, though, because they were cheap. So if you go to contacts here, you got a list of people. I want you to call one. And then I want you to say, hey, how you doing? I was thinking about you. I mean, it sounds really corny, but y'all, we're in a world that's completely disconnected, and people send text instead of calling each other. And if they don't want to talk to you, that's fine. They will decline your call and send you to voicemail. But you'd be surprised how many people will be glad to hear your voice, because maybe they haven't had any human interaction. And for the 282 of you that had a question about lead generation and where do I get more business and where do I get phone calls to happen and how do I let somebody know what I'm doing, it doesn't matter if you're a real estate or a lender or a photographer or a consultant or a coach or whatever you're doing. You've got to talk to people. I don't know what happened to us, y'all, that we decided it was okay to substitute a very non-emotional text for our voices. People love it when you have energy. They love it when you are using your inflection, because they can hear your voice go up when you have a question. They can hear that it's low when you have a cold, and that allows us to connect with each other, and that's where business comes from. It's also where life comes from. So for those of y'all that feel like you're out of balance, you have to know this. Your one phone call a day does not have to be related to your business. You could actually call a friend. So I got to tell y'all, I called a friend of mine that I first met back in when did we meet, Brandon? Probably in 1987, 86. It's been over 30 years since we first met, because he's a nerd like me. We met at a nerd summer camp. And then we went to a lot of nerd summer camps together for years. In fact, we got to go to the National Quiz Bowl Championships on the team representing North Carolina. Yeah, if y'all thought I was big time, oh, I was way bigger time back then. And I have not laid eyes on Brandon since he was at Duke and I was at Carolina. See, and that's how hard it was to call him, because he went to Duke. But anyway, I hadn't seen him in person. I've just seen him on the internet. We went to lunch, and we must have talked for 2 solid hours before I realized I was going to be late for an appointment, and I had to actually pick up my phone and get up and go. And it was probably 2 of the best hours I spent this year, was reconnecting with a friend who is an intellectual grader of mine, and we could talk, and we talked ideas and society and inventions, and it gave me so much energy, y'all, that when I went to meet my client later that afternoon, I was a better realtor. And we had a better conversation because I was back in a place of connectivity. And yes, that sounds weird and mushy-gushy, but for real, y'all, you have to stop being about your business all the time. You say you don't have any work-life balance. Well, the balance doesn't exist, all right? All there is work-life management. All right. Work-life management is what you're working on. And if you'll balance out your life a little bit, spend a little bit of time on it, the work is easier. Okay? So that's coming from making one phone call a day. Can y'all do that? Raise your hands and take the pledge. I pledge Leigh Brown to call one somebody every day out of my list of people that I know. Now, what happens if you call them and they're nasty pants to you? What I would like for you to do then is delete them from your phone. Oh, Janice, I do apologize for the ping pong game. The comments are making noise and I don't know how to cut it off, because I'm good at some things, but technology is not my strong suit. I know enough about technology to be dangerous. So anyway, you are allowed to delete nasty pants people, but I want you to really connect with each other. Now, here's the math on it for my nerds in the room. If you look at research on sales, and anybody who owns a small business, you are in the business of sales, including this person who says you are not good at connecting with people. I bet you're better than you think. My guess is that you're questioning yourself, and that means you're not putting off a sense of confidence. Confidence goes a long way, baby. That's why your grandma, if she was smart like mine, told you to have a little bit of color on when you leave the house. And if you look your best and feel your best, then you will do your best. In fact, there's an article that my girl Michelle is going to post in here that was sent to me by my friend Linda DeVleague, who is a realtor in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And Linda is about 4 foot nothing tall, and she is a spitfire. I love that woman. She sent me this article about how Southern women get it, because we like to dress up, and there's a big benefit to that in your professional life, because when you dress professionally, you feel more confident. And when you feel more confident, guess what? People read that, and then your relationships can start to grow. So quit guessing yourselves. So I totally forgot what I was talking about with my phone calls. Anyway, so make your one phone call a day. Oh, the statistics. So look at all of the work that's been done in sales and in business schools for years. If you boil it down, what happens is that 10% of your outbound calls will result in a sale at some point. 10%. All right. So get this. Make one phone call a day. Now, let's just do Monday through Friday, because I'm not going to make y'all work on the Lord's Day, whichever one is your Lord's Day. Okay. So you get to take a day off over the weekend, plus you have your rest day. So 5 days over an average month. That's 20 working days. Now, y'all aren't math people, but you can do 10% of 20, right? 2. If you had 2 extra deals a month in your business from making one extra phone call a day, wouldn't you do it? See, that's how easy it is. You don't have to listen to that old sales training that said y'all have to do an hour of power, because frankly, that ain't never going to happen. Y'all don't have an hour to spend on anything, because if you did, you got distracted and you didn't get anything done, or you got in your own way because it felt too big. And so seriously, just make one phone call a day. Now, I'll tell you the other mistake I made this year. I said yes too much. I am a pushover. I know I act all tough and stuff, but I feel sorry for people that need something. And so I give and give and give until I am beyond burnout. I am actually a crusty hot mess, which is why I have a hard time relaxing, because I worry about y'all too much, because I do absolutely love y'all in my extended online family and in my real family and in all these speaking opportunities. I get to meet y'all and hug your necks. I love y'all. And I'll tell you that it makes it hard for me to say yes. So I've learned this year to fix this. I can't say yes all the time. So I'm going to be changing my speaking schedule. You will see fewer opportunities to see me, which means you should come anytime you get and hug my neck, because I need it. But it's also why in 2018, one of my biggest accomplishments was starting my speaker boot camps. So over 4 speaker boot camps, I had almost 100 different dedicated people who are looking to bring their ideas and knowledge to this profession that we love so much. And what they came for was how to put their content together into a class that associations could hire and that brokerages could hire, and what to charge and how to charge it and how to get comfortable and best practices. And I'll tell y'all, the craziest thing that happened in this process of me trying to fix my own little issue with saying yes too much is that these groups created amazing community. And look, I'm getting like all goosebumpy because I didn't expect it. I did not expect a community to grow out of these little speaker boot camps. And several of y'all said you'd like to get involved in speaking and teaching and instructing. There are going to be more of our boot camps coming. Hang on, let me get the information up, because we were planning ahead here. And look, there's the information. Okay, so let me go this way so you can see it. What they are is not for me to start a bureau. I'm not starting a bureau. I'm trying to teach you what I learned so that those of y'all that are interested can get on these stages and help your fellows. One of the things that came up several times was, how do you juggle everything? How do you volunteer and still have a business? And one person said, how did you become famous? Which I thought that was kind of hilarious. I'm only famous in the online world of realtors, y'all. It's not a real big universe, but I appreciate the props. It happened because I learned how to share. And I'll tell y'all this. When I became a realtor in 2000, for the first 9 years of my business, my only focus was listings, leads, buyers, making more money. That was my only focus. And I got really, really successful here in Charlotte. And then I got exposed to association life. And I got exposed to what it means to be involved politically and what it means to be involved with our associations. And I realized how selfish I'd been. I thought I was the only good realtor out there, and I'm not. And in fact, some of my amazing Charlotte colleagues are on my broadcast today, and I love y'all. And I'm so glad that you're here, because I am really, really blessed to be in a realtor community that is slam full of good people. And if we as good realtors create more good realtors, then it changes how our profession is perceived. Well, I took that as my mantra, and yes, I make less money as a speaker and volunteer than I did selling, but it's a trade-off that I'm willing to make, because my family is provided for because I do get paid to speak now, except when I'm volunteering for RPAC. And those of y'all that want to send business to my team, yes, we are still selling over here, and we do serve North and South Carolina. And I'm very proud of that because I love the team that I'm surrounded with. So I'll tell y'all a hiring secret for your teams. A lot of y'all are trying to find good people to work with you and for you. Here's the question you ask in an interview. So are y'all ready to write this down? Be ready. It's very important. Ask the person across the table from you, or even ask on the telephone if you want to, but I like to look people eyeball to eyeball. That's why I trademarked the term missionary style real estate, thanks to my amazing attorney, Paula, because if you need to trademark something, she's awesome. I'll hook you up with her information. But I like to ask this question, and I can't remember who told it to me. Whoever did, if you ever tell me, I will give you all the credit, but I didn't write it down, and I've had 2 children, so I can't remember. The question I ask is this: how old were you when you had your first job? Think about that, y'all. Most of you that are highly successful in whatever field you're in, you were working long before your parents kicked you out of the house, whether it was waiting tables or babysitting or cutting lawns or working at McDonald's. You did something productive because you were ready to go change your future. So if somebody comes to me and their first job was at 12 or 13 and they were running a lemonade stand or finding something to do, babysitting, cutting yards, taking care of old people, opening doors, I want to hire that person because they demonstrate work ethic and discipline. If you are hiring somebody and the first job they got was at 22, don't waste your time, all right? So think about that carefully when you're hiring. Now, speaking of hiring and how you keep yourself from saying yes too much, one of the questions that I had, let me find it because it was a long one. And it's a very pertinent one because I bet a bunch of y'all watching this feed are solopreneurs. A solopreneur means it's you, yourself, and that's it, running your business from day to day. And if you think your spouse is your employee, you better have some work done because a lot of the spouses get sucked into this and they get really exhausted by us because they might not be wired like us as entrepreneurs. So this solopreneur said how to take one day completely off per week when you are a solo without any team member. I'm going to tell y'all this. You are not the only amazing person in your market, okay? And I know that's going to take a minute to absorb. There's other amazing people in your marketplace. You need to carry one of them to lunch or to coffee and say to that other person, a realtor if you're a realtor, lender if you're a lender, in your company, out of your company, doesn't matter. Photographer, call a photographer. Get somebody. Excuse me. I hate to do this. I'm getting over that cold. Of course, it's on a live feed. I can't fall. See if the hot tea will fix it. Excuse me. Lord, that's embarrassing. All right. Make that a friend. I apologize, y'all. Carry them to lunch. And here's what I want you to tell them. Tell them why you invited them to lunch. I like you because I admire your business practice. I admire your morals. I admire your values. Excuse me. I admire the way that you operate. So tell people that they're great. We don't do enough of that in this life anyway. And there's great people. There's great people all around us. And the great people around you need to know that you think they're great. Their life might be completely changed forever if you tell them that you admire them. So when you take them and tell them how much you admire them, what I want you to do is see if they'll cover for you that one day a week. I'm pretty sure that if they're wired in the way that you think they are, that's why they like you and that's why they love you, they're going to cover for you. When they cover for you, I'm going to... I apologize. I want y'all to think about the answer to all these other questions you had about that. You say, how do I take... Ain't that something, y'all? Timing is everything. How to punch out without feeling guilty. Look, the reason you feel guilty is twofold. One of them is that you think you're losing income that's going to support your family. But the reality is your family needs you. They need to know you. They need to know what makes you laugh. They need to know what makes you cry. They need to know when you're in a good mood and when you're in a bad mood. And sometimes our families are getting the worst of us because we're so burned out and exhausted. Don't let your family have the worst of you. The other reason you feel guilt is you think you're letting your clients down. You think you're letting your business down when you're not available all the time. Y'all, you're not. You're allowed to have a life and a family and things that matter to you besides your work. So this other solopreneur is going to be the person that says, I will cover for you that one day a week. Then you're going to give them your cell phone or forward your cell phone. But get this thing out of your hand for a day. You won't die. I promise you, you will not die if this is out of your hand. The right kind of person can be trusted. Now, might they get a lead that turns into business and they get paid? Yes. And is that okay? Yes. Because there's enough to go around. We talked about this every year I've done this broadcast. The attitude of abundance, y'all. It's not the attitude of scarcity. It's attitude of abundance. So solopreneurs, you don't have an excuse. Make a friend, okay? Now, I'll go point out to you as well, as I'm looking around here at what y'all need. Am I the only one that licks my finger to go through piles of pages? Oh, I was going to show y'all one of the things you can do about not feeling guilty. If you go to your phone, over here on settings, you can turn it into airplane mode, and shazam, it will stop beeping and buzzing at you, and you will cut your phone back on later, and then it will fill back up with little red bubbles and notifications, and you will survive. Okay, friends? You will survive. So just know that you can take your time off. Now, here's one thing you can do for the person who said, how do I tell people that I need to take a minute off because this poor soul, I want to hug from here because they talked to their buyers on Christmas Day. Now, look, even if somebody does not celebrate Christmas Day, they know that that's a holiday for most people. You could be Jewish, Muslim, atheist. Most people enjoy having a day off, and Christmas Day for most people is a day off, except for people at the movie theaters. And frankly, if they're 16, I'll hire them because, look, they're willing to work on Christmas Day. So anyway, she said, how do I fix this? How do I stop answering the phone at 10 o'clock? Well, the first one is cut it off, okay? Cut the phone off at a certain time when you go to bed, and then you can cut it back on in the morning. And then if you're talking to somebody on Christmas Day, you didn't set expectations. And so here's a voicemail script for all y'all. You ready? Okay, here's how it goes. Hey, you've reached Leigh Brown with RE/MAX. Now, whatever you do in your voicemail, y'all, I have to interrupt myself because it's very important. First name, last name, company affiliation. So if you are Melissa Lynn Hunt photographer, your voicemail says, hey, this is Melissa Lynn Hunt photographer. She's amazing, and she did my really cool picture on my business page, and she just needs to monitor her time better too because she says yes too much, but that's what a lot of entrepreneurs do. So anyway, back to your voicemail. First name, last name, company affiliation, be professional. Here's what we're going to say. Hey, you've reached Leigh Brown with RE/MAX. I'm available for your real estate needs from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Friday, weekends are by appointment only. Look, y'all, you can set whatever hours you want. Some of y'all are night owls and some are morning people like me. You might work Saturdays and take Mondays off, but set an expectation that says, I'm working 12 hours a day. That should be a gracious plenty. All right. Now, number 3, look, I'm not making very much progress, but glad y'all understand that. I did not rest enough this year. So if you don't know this from following me online, because I do like to tell y'all all kinds of things that you maybe didn't want to know, I wound up with a severe case of plantar fasciitis in my foot because I ran too much and did not take enough rest days. And then I kept running on my plantar and it led to Achilles tendonitis. And so now I have a really bad bum foot. And so I did rest for a week after our NAR convention in Boston, but I had to wear the boot because I was not listening. And when you don't rest, it not only creates more problems, but it's really hard for you to serve. So why do I have so much energy right now? Because I took a week off last week after Christmas before New Year's with my family at the beach house where I did not fix my hair or my makeup so that I could rest. And a lot of y'all are not doing any resting either. You have to figure out how your plan can involve you resting. And resting might be a day off where you go to the grocery store and do meal prep. It might be a day laying on the beach. It might be having a massage. It might just be sitting in your easy chair staring at the birds. But you have got to rest. We as a society are bad about that. You feel guilty if you're resting and then you open up your little networks and see everybody posting how great they are. Turn that mess off too while you're resting. That's not helping you rest. So I will tell y'all I had a big accomplishment this year. I had National Code of Ethics Day in June. We had over 250 associations participate in one day, and we raised $40,000 for the Realtor Relief Foundation. And by the way, I didn't make any money doing that. That was my gift to my profession. So you can also create a big gift to your profession. And I don't know what it is, but with the help of my friend Eric Kistner from Tennessee and with Michelle and Liz who worked for me, I already told y'all about them, we pulled it off and it was great fun. And we're going to do it every year. So hopefully you'll all play along. I started my university this year. And so if you're enjoying coaching and you don't really want to pay for coaching, I don't know where it is. I don't know. One of my girls, I had to post it in the group because I lost it because I can't organize very well. But I did start my Leigh Brown University, which is your opportunity to hang out with me online in your pajamas. And then you can get all the education that you need from wherever you are. And there it is, my university special. Oh, la, 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 la. I know y'all appreciate that I'm a realtor. I did, by the way, one of my other accomplishments this year was I read the whole Bible. I've never done that before, so it was a really big deal because I've been a student of the Bible for years, but I read the whole thing, and it was fascinating, and there's the university special. Let me leave that up there for a minute because it's a discount. So I was proud of myself for getting that done, so maybe you accomplished War and Peace. I've still not read War and Peace. That's on this year's list because I do love reading. And also, when I was talking about this university, one of the things that's driven me kind of crazy is that a lot of y'all come to my classes and you want more, and I never did create it because I'm a realtor and I get distracted. And there's not a lot of coaching out there that's done by actual producing realtors, and it's not typically done by women and who haven't been at a high level. And so what I did was a 10-module series of how to build your business from soup to nuts. So that's what's over there. And then there's different tiers that include like groups and private coaching and stuff. So it's great fun. I'm super proud. That got launched at NAR, and we're talking to a couple of different brands about doing some licensing for newer agents. Now, if you're an older agent, frankly, this is stuff you need too, but let's just call that what it is. So anyway, so I'm going to talk about the article that I sent y'all. Raise your hand if you did your homework. And I know y'all were so excited to get a gold star for downloading your homework. And some of y'all were unable to pull down the information because you moved too fast, and I love you for that, and that's okay. We're going to make all of the homework articles available in somewhere, and Michelle will post a link that will have all the homework in it, or Liz will. We'll make your life easy. So we had an article in there from Harvard Business Review. Now, I will tell y'all, I'm a reader. That is one of the best resources out there. Harvard Business Review, it sounds kind of intimidating because it's from Harvard. I gave y'all an article last year for it as well. This one was fascinating, and it's 5 traits or 5 things that all great salespeople do. So I wanted to break that down for the world that we're in and think about a couple of different things. The first one is that all great salespeople own it. And that was, of course, what President Elizabeth Mendenhall had for the National Association last year, where she wanted us to own it as realtors and be the masters of our own destiny. Frankly, you think about it, our whole society is built on not owning anything right now. We've got a generation that has been taught that somebody else will cover for them. Well, great salespeople don't try to cover for it. Somebody in here had as a question, how do you recover from a bad customer service experience? And that happens to everyone who's in sales. You don't recover from a bad review or a bad customer by hiding. You recover by saying, I screwed up. How can I make it better? Now, one of the things I've told y'all in the past, and I'll reiterate it for my new friends, is that in my office, we have a fund called Happiness Money, and that's got some money in it at all times, so that anybody on my team, if we screw up, because we're humans, we make mistakes, we can immediately make it right. And my team members have the ability to spend that money without anybody's permission if it's making somebody else happy. And yes, we've had to buy refrigerators and termite treatments and home warranties and had some repairs done because you do what's best for the people you serve. So that's how you recover from a bad customer service experience, is you own it. And that's classic with, you look at what great salespeople do. And you'll see that number 2 is that they're resourceful. Okay, this one, I love what they said, that MacGyver didn't stop and complain. Amen, MacGyver. In fact, it made me want to get that show out and watch it with my children because, like many of y'all raising children in today's society, it's tricky because they're not taught to be resourceful. we as lawnmower parents are taking all of their obstacles out of their way. So let them have obstacles. It is fine. They will recover. I mean, I have people tell me all the time I'm a little rough on my kids. Well, they're still alive. Thank you. And one thing that was asked here, look, I had to highlight some of the primary moments. If you are a newer agent, resourcefulness is very important because you probably don't have a massive oh, by the way, Sandra, taking a week off as a solopreneur is asking that partner of yours to cover for you for a week. Give them a compensation if you need to, but more importantly, you cover for them for a day or a week and treat one another like partners. You don't even have to be a team to take care of one another. I promise you, there's so many good people in this business, you'd be amazed. Now, I was talking about resourcefulness, and I had several people in here that were asking about how to manage marketing, how to manage social, because social is one of the most affordable things we have for marketing. Well, understand this. Let me take that off my screen because I'm tired of looking at it now. Hopefully y'all got it. Michelle will post it over in the notes. When we're thinking about resourcefulness, you first of all got to stop and think about what he mentions over here in the article is that these are looking at things that seem to be ridiculously impossible. Okay, look with me here. It's January in a sales business. Now, unless you're in a hot resort market, you're in most normal markets, things aren't hot in January. I don't care what kind of business you're in. When you come past the end of the year, there's typically a little bit of a dip in the cycle, okay? That fear factor can eat you alive. It can make you question what you're doing every day. It can cause you to have this big, huge amount of doubt as to what to do next. So you've got to dig in because sometimes January feels ridiculously impossible. In fact, every year, January feels ridiculously impossible. So I'll tell you one thing that I do is figuring out who to serve. I've got past clients. I've got a sphere. I've got a community that knows me very well, but still I have to retool constantly so I can do a better job. So today, I spent a lot of time running stats on neighborhoods to figure out where I should be investing my time so that I can affect the most people positively with their real estate transactions. So I felt really optimistic after doing my research because I said, boom, now I know where to serve. Now, if you're a realtor, I will give y'all the quick rundown on what I look for. If you're not a realtor, then take a sip of something, in the words of my friend Bill Gallagher, and hang on a second. What you're looking for when you're looking for geographic areas to serve. Look at how many properties are in that geographic area. So is the neighborhood 50 homes or 5,000 homes? How many properties sold in the last 12 months? It's going to make your stomach hurt a little bit because of the inventory issues we have had and are continuing to have, but you've got to spot where the action is. Then you're going to look at days on market. And then you'll see where things are moving in a relatively quick manner. And if they're not moving quickly, ask yourself why and what value you can provide. Then you're going to write down the list price to sales price ratio and watch if that's moving actually. But look at all of 2018 and then look at the average price in that area so you can determine where you need to spend your time. Some of y'all get so distracted in your fear that you wind up trying to serve everybody all the time. And that means you're not really serving anybody well. So drill yourself back down. I got to tell y'all, I'm super excited about where we're going to refocus our geographic areas in 2019 because I know where there is a market that has houses selling and there's not somebody that's in charge of it. So think about what you can do to be resourceful. I'll also tell you if you don't have a huge budget or if you're in debt, and we'll talk about money here shortly. Some of y'all are in debt and you really don't know how to spend on your real estate or your entrepreneurial adventure without getting deeper in the hole. There is a panel discussion that I led at the national conference in 2017 called Getting Out of Debt. And it was 3 panelists who are amazing humans. We had Harrison Beecher from Washington, D.C. We had Megan Horner from Columbus, Ohio. And my sweet friend from Wisconsin, I can see his face. His name starts with a C. Senior moment. Look it up. Anyway, the 3 of them shared their tricks for getting a really successful business going while in 6 figures worth of debt. Their ideas were very inexpensive and helpful. So look that up. It's a wonderful resource. And so let's talk about social media briefly because part of being resourceful is your social media strategy and plan. First of all, you see what I'm doing right here? Facebook Live, y'all should be doing it. It should be part of your social plan. One person here was brave enough to say, how do you get past the fear of video? And amen, sister, it's hard. What I'll tell you is that you need to make 3 videos. After the 3rd video, you won't be nervous anymore. Turn your phone on. I'm not expensive. Look, y'all, this is selfie style. I don't have a lot of expensive video people because I'm cheap. So put it in video form and then put it in selfie mode and then hold it up so your chins go back and you lose 10 pounds because we love that. So what you want to do is make a video. 30 seconds, a minute. Say something valuable that you know. Like, what color do you recommend for an interior wall? I like Sea Salt by 𝘾𝙊𝙉𝙉𝙃, and I like Special White for the trim. And so that could be a quick video that you make that gives people something of import that you know. Just say things you know, and you don't have to ramble on for an hour like I am. Just make it a short, sweet video. People appreciate good information. It's wonderful. And then the other trick to being a good video person is do not go back and watch it. I promise y'all, if you go back and watch it, you will pick yourself apart. Y'all are your own worst critics. You tell yourself that you're ugly or fat or old or young or your hair's not good or your makeup's not good or your clothes aren't good or whatever excuse you have. I'm going to tell y'all something. You're the only one saying ugly things about yourself, so stop it. You probably don't have a lot of internet trolls yet, but if you're lucky like me, you'll have trolls in the future that tell you you sound like you're off the Beverly Hillbillies. But all I can say is they had a concrete pond and not everybody else did. So, Now let's move on. Speaking of being resourceful, I want y'all to think about ways that you can create interaction with people, because your resourcefulness and thinking of ways to build your business should involve interaction, everything that you do. So if you're doing Facebook Live, it's so you can interact with people in the comments. If you're doing a event out there, there's lots of inexpensive events you can do. In fact, I stole an idea from, look at y'all, I am totally having brain farts today, from Angela in West Virginia. Angela, I apologize that I cannot call your last name at this second, but I will tag her in because I've tagged her in everything else for this. She did a Christmas wrapping paper event at her office and said, bring me your presents and I'll wrap them. So I copied her idea, and it was a very inexpensive thing to do that created some really big smiles and allowed us to serve our community. So that's a way to be resourceful, is share ideas with all of these really great people with whom you're interacting over here in the comments. And by the way, that was one thing that was mentioned several times is, Leigh, how can you volunteer and get business and have stuff happen? I'll tell y'all, it's because the more you share, the more you receive. Tell people everything that you're doing, and when they borrow your ideas, be grateful and know that the more good that happens, the more good exists. Now, let's look at number 3 over here on our 5 traits of great salespeople. And number 3 is that they are experts. And I already shared with y'all that article about professionalism and how it can bring your confidence level up. And you've also got to have a strong point of view. And I love it. They said that over here. They said, have an opinion. Y'all, we're in a society that's told y'all not to have an opinion because you're too sassy or you're telling people what to think. Have your opinion. Just don't be hateful about it. Don't type in all caps with lots of exclamation points, because that's just too much for most people. But have an opinion when they're looking at a house and they say, hey, should we buy this? And it's backing up to a power tower. You should say to them, be aware of the pros and cons of backing up to a power tower. Don't just automatically be all Pollyanna. Yes, it's perfect. No, say this could work, but also don't be a nasty pants. It's like, this house sucks, don't buy it. Because there's a butt for every saddle, and if they don't mind the power tower, your job is to walk them through pros and cons and let them be grown people and make decisions. Same thing with everything else in life. So be an expert. Now, if you're a newer realtor, you're sitting here thinking, Leigh Brown, how am I going to be an expert? I hadn't been doing this for 20 years. I feel you, because I too was a new realtor once upon a time, and I came to real estate from chainsaws, where I was also the new girl in chainsaws, which frankly, you're pretty much always the new girl in chainsaws because there's not many. So anyway, think about it this way. When you are being an expert, it involves getting to know your product and your inventory. So if I'm a photographer, I would want to know every model of camera and every kind of lens, even if I'm just taking pictures of people, because they may ask me questions, and the more I can answer, the more they respect my opinion. If I'm a realtor, I'm out there looking at every property on the market. So I'll tell y'all, one of the things that I looked at in determining my geographic target for first quarter is how many are available in that area. And the first thing my team and I are going to do over the next couple of days is preview everything in that area. Go preview is a help to the listing agent as long as you're professional about it. Book your appointment like usual and don't be sneaky sly. You're looking at it to develop knowledge of the area. That makes you a better resource and allows you to really help people. You don't have to be a 40-year realtor to know everything. In fact, some of the 40-year realtors are just using that 1 years of experience and recycling it. Y'all need to create some new stuff. And I have seen some 1 and 2 year realtors doing amazing things. So don't discount that, y'all. Okay. Now we're going to look at number 4. And I see that Jessica over here recommended the book, The Go Giver. It's a really good book. Thank you for recommending that. And by the way, I did have a link up of my favorite books right now. There's 6 books that I'm recommending. One of which is Blue Fishing by Steve Sims. And I totally have an entrepreneur's crush on him. I'm not even going to lie, y'all. He saw my, hang on, what was I looking for here? I lost my other special. Look, I am terrible at adding things to this. Anyway, Steve became my friend on LinkedIn. If you call them friends over there, I don't know. And then I tagged him in a post. And when I tagged him in the post, he replied back, and I felt like I had been talked to by a rock star. So don't underestimate talking to authors. But I found him on my favorite podcast, which is I Love Marketing by Joe Polish and Dean Jackson. And Dean Jackson used to be in real estate. Those guys are super duper smart, and the perspective is outside of the typical extra areas of real estate and such. So listen to I Love Marketing, and you should listen to my podcast too, which is Crazy Shit in Real Estate, because it's fun and it's a thinly veiled exercise in professionalism. Anyway, I heard Steve talking about his book, Blue Fishing. Y'all, I sat down and read the whole thing 3 times straight in a row because it's that good. I feel like he's my spirit animal. Some of y'all say I'm your spirit animal. Well, Steve's mine. And you'll see in here, Steve signed my book, so I'm like a little schoolgirl with this. And because I loved him so much, I asked the staff at the Residential Real Estate Council, formerly known as CRS, if he couldn't be one of our keynote speakers for Celebration in Las Vegas in February. And so we negotiated that in. So Steve is one of our keynotes, so you need to be there. It's going to be amazing. And then I asked CRS if I could have a discount for y'all. So look, they hooked us up with 25% off registration. Your code is Leigh Brown. And if you just go to crs.com and events, you can find it right easy. But there it is, crs.com/attend/sale-𝘾𝙊𝙉𝙃. And we'll have that in the comments as well. So there is a discount for my friends here on this because, I mean, I don't know what I'm going to have to do to fight somebody for front row so I can be all fangirly for Steve Sims, but that's where I'll be. Christy, are you coming to CRS Celebration? You could ride with me. Christy is our president at the Gaston Realtors here in North Carolina, and I'm very proud of her because she's also serving with CRS, which, you know, I was national president in 2017. And by the way, don't any of y'all tell me that you are too busy to volunteer. Don't give me any of that. And we'll talk about time management and blocking here shortly as I run short on my hour. All right, so we're talking about helping others, and I got distracted because you mentioned Go Giver, and I had to mention Blue Fishing. So when you see what they said in this article as your best salespeople, help those who are less tenured and less experienced. Y'all, one of the questions that I ask when I'm speaking is who should be in this room with us? Who should be here? And I love my realtors. Y'all like to say this one and that one, my favorite, my best, this one I love. And my response is we actually should have all the jacklegs in the room. The worst among us need to be in there because if they don't know there's an opportunity to get better and a way to conduct business in a brighter, more positive way, then we're failing them. And so reach back for the people who really suck and invite them to classes and invite them to association events and get them there. Now, it also says on that article, you learn from teaching. Y'all, I'm serious. Every time I go somewhere to speak, I learn something new. I'm introduced to somebody amazing who gives me new energy and ideas for my business. And you too could have that experience. And I think I already gave y'all my speaker boot camp stuff, but the effect of volunteering on your business is that you know more. So when you talk to your clients, you can explain to them what that flood insurance debacle was. They probably saw it rolling through their feeds that flood insurance wasn't being issued after the government shutdown started. started. And that was a FEMA decision against Congress's intentions, and the president had nothing to do with it. It was just FEMA being punks. And our National Association of Realtors political advocacy staff, they went to bat and right hard to make sure that y'all's closings didn't go away the last week of the year. And that was a critical win. And so when you volunteer, you tend to be in the circles of people that know that, so you can explain it to the people you serve. Because if you want to defeat the websites and the AIs and ARs and all the new things that are aggravating y'all about the business, you need to be something different. And one of the ways you can set yourself apart as a realtor in today's world is to be the engaged realtor that knows more stuff. Maybe you know more about political advocacy. Get involved in government affairs and in the Realtor Party, that's also known as RPAC. Those things really matter because y'all, Zillow is never going to go advocate for property rights. Zillow advocates for their shareholders, and I'm not saying that to slam them, although frankly y'all are giving them way too much money and power, when instead you should be giving the power to your association and to your advocacy, because what we do matters to the people we serve, and it matters in a really big way. We as realtors affected the waters of the U.S. Act, which if you're a realtor in a city full of high-rises, that might not matter, but if you do farms and land, you understand exactly what a big deal that is, and that's what we do. Here, let me hold it up again, Lenore. It's Blue Fishing by Steve Sims. I think, there we go. I'm so bad at figuring out where the camera is. And then you'll also notice in number 5, traits of great salespeople, they move quickly. Sense of urgency. Y'all, you got to think about this in a different way, because for some of y'all, acting quickly is getting back to somebody in an hour or two or a day or two, and that is not enough. Think about how aggravated you get when you call customer service and can't get a human. Your best salespeople are Johnny on the spot, and if they can't answer it quickly, they've got somebody backing them up. I'll tell y'all, one of the things that I use in my team is called Ruby Receptionist, and Ruby is a little expensive, but it is a live answering service. They're on the West Coast, made up of cute little actress girls, and so they got cute little perky voices. They're manning my phones if nobody on my team is available, and I'm willing to spend that money because it matters to me that our phones be answered. You know how frustrating it is. Don't make it frustrating. The best salespeople get this. So read that article and think about how it applies to you. Now, I also have your Dream Year handout was in your homework. Now, those of y'all that didn't get homework, Liz has already posted her email over here. We'll send it back out if you need it. But in that Dream Year handout, I want y'all to look at your time management, your business management, and your life management as one big picture. Because too often when we do business planning, we're only talking about deals and deals and money, and we're not talking about our lives. And when we go talk about our lives, we're talking about date night and friends, and we're not talking about how our businesses are impacted by it and how we impact our business. I want y'all to think about everything as a big package, because you're a pretty big package. So you need to spend a little time with this if you haven't. And at the top, look at your commission dollars. Be honest with yourself. Where's that money going? One of the questions I was asked is that on my 40-30-20-10 plan, which is what I've been doing for a long time, 40% of every check goes into my business account, and that's what I get to spend on my business. 30% goes into my personal account. That's houses, cars, pocketbooks, nails. It's also where my RPAC contribution comes from, because that's a personal expense. 20% is in my tax account. So yay for tax reform. That has made that a lot less of a bite, because yay, tax reform helped realtors and small businesses big time. And by the way, if you are a CRS designee in real estate, go look up the webinars that Chris Bird, our amazing instructor, did about tax reform. It will give you questions to ask your accountant and help you maximize that. And also, I'm doing a webinar with CRS tomorrow with Shannon McGann, who is our new Senior Vice President and soon-to-be Chief Lobbyist for the National Association, the first female one in our history, and she's freaking brilliant. She's going to talk to you about political advocacy, and you can ask questions then too. So think about that 20% taxes. It's 40 for business, 30 for personal, 20 for taxes, and then 10% is a tithe account for me. And for you, that might not be a tithe because you might not be a believer. Yeah, I can talk to you about that. But the 10% might be your give back account for your community. It might be what you do in nonprofits, for your boys and girls clubs, or for whatever matters to you in your area. It's really important, y'all, for you to think about those dollars that come in as something you get to steward. and that it doesn't all have to be clutched so tightly to you. And I know that's hard for those of y'all that are in financial pinches, but I'm going to promise you, when you put it back out there, it comes back. I don't know how it works, but it works. If you cling tightly to your money, other money can't get in. So take care of people first, and then the money will figure itself out, okay? Now, let's talk about tools very briefly. You guys, I could talk to y'all for like 47 days and try and answer your questions. And by the way, those of y'all that need a private moment, let me add up here my coaching special that I run every year during this. If you just need a quick phone call, pick me up. That's what we do. One of the tools that I'm using, Instagram, of course, y'all are already on Instagram, but if you didn't know this, the reason I'm doing this from my business page is that Facebook forced me over here. Facebook decided that I had too many followers on my personal page and they want me to be a public figure. So I'm having to shift everything over here. So if you're thinking about sharing, speaking, and getting into this space, highly recommend that you start a business page sooner rather than later so that you don't get suppressed like I have been. And same thing on Instagram. I recently converted my Instagram account to a business account. So I'm getting ahead of that curve. I will tell y'all one place I get information to figure out what to do and how to do it is HubSpot.com. That's HubSpot.com. I love HubSpot because they are a sales and marketing powerhouse, and you can get all kinds of information there. In fact, one person was asking there's a question I have to answer here. Oh, where do you get checklists? I can sell you mine, or you can basically just do a brain dump every time you do something. That's probably cheaper. Oh, how do you hire consultants, photographers, and videographers? Where do you start? I will tell you that if you look at something like HubSpot, they can give you really good insight on the great ones out there, and then you can start to pick it apart. I would suggest you start with content. So you start by creating a list. So my social media plan for 2019 is a list of what I want to provide in the way of information. And there's going to be information on how do you deal with standing water in your yard, because thanks to the year we've had in North Carolina and in South Carolina, y'all, the water table is so stupidly high right now that water won't go anywhere when it rains. But, you know, it's, even after Florence, we're still Carolina strong. I got to tell y'all, I was down at my beach house in Ocean Isle Beach, and I can tell y'all that owning a beach house is a fantastic investment. Those houses are my two best performing investments. But anyway, driving in and out of eastern part of North Carolina, it's still underwater down there. It's crazy. And so knowing that, I'm going to do an educational piece about what to do when you have standing water in your yard, because you want to be timely with the information you provide. So I've developed a plan based on what I have seen and what my team has seen, and we're putting all that content together. So you decide your plan, okay? Y'all can look at all these gurus. I mean, follow Katie Lance. Katie offers a lot of really great information, but the best information comes from you and the phone calls you're getting. So what are buyers asking you? What are sellers asking you? What are your neighbors asking you? What are people talking about at the grocery store, at the brewery, at church? Turn all of those into posts and just start yourself a little Google sheet and make a list of all the topics that should be relevant and should matter. And then once you develop this content list, my friend who needed to know how to hire somebody, you're going to need that content before you hire somebody. Then the next thing I would hire is a photographer and go get somebody to take pictures of your area, of what matters, parks and rec and healthcare, and what's really interesting about your area. If you're in a city like I'm in, Charlotte's got a cool skyline, Concord is revitalized, and Waxhaw's got this cool new downtown. There's nothing real cute about Mint Hill, but they got really great Little League ball fields. Get pictures of all those things, because when you put that on your website, it's going to be really fresh content. And the best way to find a photographer to do that is post it on Facebook. Ask amongst your friends, who do they love for professional photography? And I don't mean you with your DSLR, and I don't mean your best friend who bought a camera for Christmas and wants to be a photographer. I mean, hire somebody. Pay them some money and let them go make a living helping you create a better reality for what you're doing. Hey, Waxhaw, see, we've got a lot of good areas around here. So that's where you want to start. It's content and photos. And I'll tell y'all a secret, too, about the photos. If you're talking to people who primarily do weddings, they're generally delighted to add something to their portfolio that's not weddings. So give them an opportunity to build their business while you make yours more personal. Now, and by the way, the 4 bank accounts I forgot to ask. Our answer is they do have 4 separate bank accounts. That's why I use a small local bank, because they let you open up lots and lots of accounts. The big banks, I don't really care for big anything anymore. I like small and local. And I'll tell you, that's one of the biggest pieces of advice I got from my friend 𝘾𝙊𝙉𝙉𝙃 out in Indiana. He told me one time, quit stepping over dollars to get to nickels because I was being cheap and buying stuff online. I buy as much as I can locally now and support local businesses because I'd like them to support me too. So let's talk time management, okay? Y'all have a really hard time with this because, again, you're people pleasers, and that's what causes you to be a poor manager of your time. What I'd like for you to think about is this. You have a limited number of hours in the day. Quit giving so many of them to this. Turn it off and then turn it back on. Don't sleep with your phone. Y'all, people are sleeping with their phones and that's not normal. It's not. Turn it off and leave it in the kitchen. Now, here's the way my day is structured. This is a question I'm often asked. And maybe this will help you to think, okay? And by the way, another question I was asked, I asked lots of things, I love y'all, was how do I journal? Because you know I'm a journaler. So this is my stack right here of the completed journals. And they don't go anywhere when they're full. I keep them here to look back because, frankly, a lot of the same stuff winds up in them because we're realtor type people. So this is my Monday through Friday schedule. At 4 a.m. I get up, maybe 4:30 if it's a relaxing day. At 5 a.m. I go run or work out with my friends. And I'll tell y'all, part of the reason that I run is so I can eat what I want. And the second one is to have social time. Now, those of y'all that are turning me out right now because you don't want to exercise, I understand that you don't want to, but your knees want you to, your heart wants you to, and you're able to. So do something. Walk to the end of the driveway and back. That's fine. Find a friend that wants to do that with you. Y'all, I was getting so lonely and miserable as a human because when I was only focused on selling houses, I'd lost a lot of my friendships because I was only focused on clients and real estate. And then I would go home and be wife and mom for a minute, but I didn't take care of me. And so taking care of me involves exercise and it involves social time too. And I love my run girls, y'all. That's my family. And then from 6 to 7 a.m. after I run, I go to the grocery store and I usually see some people in there and I say, hey, and then I can report back to my friend Michelle how her daughter's behaving because her daughter works there. And then I can pick up the dry cleaning and do things. And at 7 a.m. I shower. And then after I shower, I do my devotion while I dry my hair. And if you never tried it, y'all, the Dyson hair dryer is the best thing ever. It's too expensive, but I use credit card points for it, so I didn't feel guilty. And so I read my devotion while I'm drying my hair because I'm a multitasker. And then I will read something. It'll be an article, book, doesn't matter. I just look at something. If I'm going to watch smut, by the way, I watch smut while I'm on the treadmill. If it's raining, like this morning it was raining, so I was able to watch smut. But for me, smut is the Great British Baking Show because I can't handle Bird Box, Jeffrey. I know you watched it, but good on you. At 8 a.m., my family better be up and fixing to get out the house. And then if I'm on the road, I'm back at an event by then. And then from 8:30 to 4:30, I have a list of the things I need to get done, marketing for my team, strategy for my team. I have messaging that I need to work on. Oh, I got to jump over here, Jessica. Your body can do it at 5 a.m. And here's the thing. If you get in the habit of working out early, your body gets used to you working out early. And then you realize that by the end of the day, when you're exhausted, you already got it done and you feel better all day. So when I was first getting into the habit, I had to have somebody to go with me. It wasn't happening by myself. And so my girlfriend, Virginia, who now works with me on my team, and thank heavens for her, we forced each other to go out there and get back in shape because we didn't like the shape we had, and so we made a new one. But it would not have happened if I didn't know she wasn't waiting for me outside. And so get a friend. You can start a local run club. You can go to your local run shop and ask them what groups they have. They've got groups for fast and slow and in between. There's so many people out there that will help you. And then you can also sleep in your running clothes. Or walking clothes or working out clothes, whatever you're doing. If you sleep in them, you're liable to wake up and the alarm goes off and you say, well, hell, I'm already dressed. Let me get up and go. I will tell y'all this. It's hard to go some days. I'm exhausted like you. I would rather sleep an extra hour, but I have never, ever, ever regretted a workout. It always makes it worthwhile just to get up and be human before my day starts. I promise. Just try it. And by the way, y'all, it takes 21 days to develop a new habit. If you start right now and look amongst these comments, find somebody else that has trouble getting up and make friends with one another and support each other in that. I'm telling you, I would not be a runner if I didn't have friends to run with. I can do it by myself, but only to a certain extent. Now, and by the way, if you are a realtor runner, we have a Facebook group called Realtor Runners and Walkers where we try to get together at events and have friends. Let's see. I do take care of my team needs. I check my emails and text and see what people need. And by the way, our team communicates using a tool called Slack, which we love because it keeps our emails full out of reply all hell. And you can have different channels for different things. And let's see, then we have, I work on my podcast. I check things out. That's not every day. I schedule those days. And then I send personal notes. Do y'all send personal notes? I do. I got a whole desk full. Look, I got some sympathy cards ready because if somebody passes, you ought to take care of them. Send them a card. You talk about wanting to have good social media interactions. Quit saying like when somebody passes. I don't know what's wrong with y'all. At least scroll over to the crying face and then send them a card. And then you could send birthday cards. Frankly, I didn't find anybody to send this one to this Christmas, but somebody's getting it next year because I loved it. I found that when Brandon from South Dakota and I, Brandon Martins, we were hanging out in a personalized personal stationery store. It was a lot of good times. So anyway, I send 5 personal notes a day. That's just a good habit to have. And I do my social responses. If you don't want this stuff to manage your life, you got to manage it. Put in your calendar to manage your notifications, your Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Manage it in the morning, manage it in the middle of the day, manage it in the afternoon. Now, if I'm on a plane or I'm sitting around waiting on something, I will use that time to respond socially because I do respond to all my stuff. If Liz or Michelle respond on my behalf, you can see that it's them because I feel very strongly that social should be social and not fake. So I don't know why y'all are signing up for these services. That's kind of crazy. And then let's see, I have my appointments worked in. And by the way that Virginia schedules my listing appointments is if somebody needs to list a house, she knows my schedule and so she can fit them in. And if it doesn't fit them, we have team members available. And so we let the clients choose what suits them. If it works with my schedule, great. If it's somebody else, great. Because we're looking to make sure we keep their time at a premium. Oh, squash sounds fun. I don't know how to play that. Let's see. And then I have preview in my schedule. I try to preview every single week. I have since I got in real estate. My volunteer time goes into my schedule with my kids. We did Meals on Wheels over Christmas. And by the way, if you've never done Meals on Wheels, it's an amazing experience to bring humanity to somebody else's life. And by the way, teach your kids how to do that, y'all. I'm working very hard not to raise a flock of assholes. And so part of teaching them to live a better life is teaching them how to volunteer. And then I make videos all the time. And I have to schedule those so that I don't overdo because I know y'all enjoy it, but it's too much sometimes. And then when the kids come home, I cut it all off so I can make sure they do their homework and practice the bassoon and the piano and don't kill each other. And then I fix supper and then I finish any work I have left, chauffeur people to baseball or choir or art. And then I go to bed at 9 o'clock. So you can do all of this. Yeah, Melinda is the best at personal notes, frankly. I love that, Bill. Bill Risser, that's a good one. Social should be for the grout in your day. Oh, I'm gonna use that sometime, but I'll give you credit. And then, y'all, time management just involves you being focused. So an email comes in, do it, delete it, or delegate it. That's your 3 choices. Don't say, well, I'll get back to it. I'll get around to it. No, focus in and do it. So what if you make a mistake? I had one wonderful, sweet person here who said she's afraid to price a house because she's afraid to give them the wrong price for their house. I'll tell you that pricing is not an exact science on real estate. None of us really understand why some houses go at some prices and some houses do. And I've run comps. I've got one listing right now. According to the comps, it should have sold. We can't figure it out. We keep working on it. Part of your job is to communicate that and tell people, I don't know what's going on. I'm doing everything I can do. We can talk about price. We can talk about comps. But you've got to take a stand at some point and say, this looks like it could work, but pricing is fluid. And that's a phrase I learned several years ago from somebody. And again, I'd credit if I could remember them. But tell people it's not exact and go ahead and take a chance. And if you see that the comps are in a range, show the clients the range and let them pick. Is it more important to go fast or to try for the highest price? Let's see. I'm out of time. Y'all are hanging with me over schedule because obviously you know how I roll. And I have lots of questions about teams and team building. I think I have a team webinar on my website that y'all can pull down. I'm going to use the rest of your stuff I couldn't get to for content throughout the year. And there were a couple people asking about Remax tools. I wasn't going to do anything brand specific on here. I will tell y'all one thing I think is important before y'all jump off of here. This pen that I wear. This is my 2018 Platinum R President Circle Double Hall of Fame pen. And I'm waiting on my 2019 pin because I just made that investment yesterday so that I could be at the front of the year. And what I do with this pin is when I'm speaking to people and they ask me what it is, I say this pin indicates that I write checks and that I visit with elected officials to protect and preserve your right to buy and sell the property we're talking about right now. And you should ask any realtor if they're doing the same thing, because not all realtors are engaged and involved in advocacy. And I'm going to tell y'all something. If you want a referral from Leigh Brown's team in Concord and Charlotte, North Carolina, you're going to have to be a CRS designee for one, which shows me that you have invested in education that makes you better, and you're going to have to be a major investor. And so if you need to know more about that, you're going to have to DM me. But I'm just telling y'all that's how I pass out referrals. And let's see what else I could tell y'all. Okay, I'll tell you the last thing, and a lot of y'all are very, having a dark spot, okay? So look at me here for a second. I don't know who you are, but I love you. You are a child of God, and the Psalm says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And one person said they don't know how to see themselves in a brighter future. I'm going to tell you that right now, the life you're in is so bright, somebody else can't even imagine it. And we just forget that sometimes because we get hung up in what the world tells us to think and what the world tells us to do and what trappings we're supposed to have. If you will just slow down for 2 seconds, you'll realize that your life is really, really bright. And if you're having a dark moment, reach out to me and I will send you a hug back through the interwebs, or reach out to somebody over in this comment thread, because I know that the people I'm surrounded with are amazing humans. And I got to tell y'all, that's the biggest gift I've been given from volunteering in this world. It's not the money from referrals. It's not recognition. It's not being famous in real estate. The gift I've been given is realizing that as a whole, the people in entrepreneur world, small business world, realtor world, they are generally really good people with hearts of gold that are focused on their communities and on making things better all around them. And yeah, they make mistakes, but I really don't think it's malicious when they do. So if you'll just open your eyes to the great people around you, it'll give you some ideas for how you can do something a little bit more. If you need anything from me, y'all know where to find me on the socials. Did I give y'all? Oh, I got to give y'all my last quote. My friend sent me this the other day. We were talking about working out, and I meant to show y'all this. Oh, I forgot to take Carolina Strong off over there because Michelle made that really cool little graphic. And by the way, if you want to support people after disasters, Realtor Relief Foundation, I can't say enough good things about it. I'll be doing some more fundraisers this year, one of which, by the way, you see behind me. See these neckties on the wall? Hang on, let me move this out your way. Look, I gotta learn how to go pointing. See those neckties? I cleaned those out of my daddy's closet after 40 years in real estate. There is even a old Century 21 tie. Y'all see that? So my C21 people better log in for that particular webinar. We're going to do another fundraiser for Realtor Relief. So make sure that you're logged in for that one, because you might need a necktie. But anyway, I was talking about working out with this friend of mine, and he sent me this quote, and I loved it. Strong people are harder to kill than weak people, and more useful in general. And I do like to brag about myself as being very hard to kill. So I hope that you too are hard to kill in 2019, that you will get out there and kick ass, take care of yourself for just a minute, and most importantly, take care of other people. I'm grateful to be surrounded by y'all. I'm grateful that y'all give me the opportunity to share my thoughts on life with you, and I hope that you'll continue to engage with me across the networks until we get back to this place again in 2020, when I'm pretty sure we'll have an amazing visioning event. But let me know too. Raise your hand if you think we should do one of these in 6 months, like a check-in session in June, maybe for accountability. I don't know if everybody would be interested in that, but if you are, raise your hand, and if we see enough interest, I'll be glad to schedule one and help y'all out. I love you. Go take care of each other. Do something really good with today, and kick tail in 2019.